Hey, we are live. Hey,
Woo.
y'all. I'm Jennie from the blog with the CAZA Group, sharing information from the streets of real estate. Today, I'm here with Skylar, talking about changing from hospitality industry to real estate. Obviously, Skylar is killing it in the Reston, Virginia market. Skylar, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So let's jump right into it. Obviously, the hospitality has been hit hard with COVID, with everybody who have been working at restaurants as well as, in the hospitality industry, bars, things like that. And, leaving people wondering what next? Is this an industry that's going to jump back? What should I do? A lot of people who have been in hospitality have thoughts of maybe real estate would be good. So obviously you come from a hospitality background, working in restaurants, working at bars. So, let me ask you this. What made you go into real estate from a hospitality industry?
So I actually grew up around real estate. My mom has been an agent for years, since I was about 7 years old. So something that, I've always been around. I didn't have the appreciation for it at the time. As a 7-year-old, you don't really want to be dragged around a bunch of houses. So it was later on that I realized that was something that I was interested in. Obviously, when I got into bartending, I was doing it through college, and it kind of progressed into something that I really enjoyed and really loved. And so even after getting my degree, I continued doing it. But it was never something that I wanted to do forever. It was definitely something that I enjoyed. And the main things that I enjoyed were, making connections, meeting new people, having a little bit more flexibility in scheduling. It's not your typical 9 to 5. And, not being behind a desk was ideal for me. So don't do well. I fall asleep very quickly if I'm behind a desk for too long. So when the pandemic hit, it definitely made me reevaluate, what my priorities were and, what I wanted to do. And it was kind of the push I needed to kind of focus on what my career was going to be. And so then honing in on what the skills were that I had developed in bartending and restaurants, which were, the people skills, the communication, making connections and trying to figure out how I could, use that to my advantage. It just kind of real estate came back to mind. It was something that I had been licensed before in, but I just didn't have the push I needed to really focus on it. And the pandemic gave me that. So it was just a really smooth transition in regards to making that decision.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, obviously, being newly into real estate and transitioning from one industry to the other, obviously, that probably came with fears, like any kind of new transition. So, what kind of, fears do you have that you're kind of starting to overcome being new in real estate?
I mean, I think the biggest one for me was if I can even do this. I'd been bartending for 6 years. It was something I was very comfortable with doing. It was something that I knew I was good at doing. And so getting into a whole new industry, it's scary. It's, you definitely have those thoughts. It's like, well, am I going to be good at this as well? Like, am I going to get to a point where I'm as comfortable doing this as I was bartending? And, I'm definitely getting there. It's hard to not have that self-doubt occasionally, but I'm working on it. And I'm part of a great team. So they, really pushed me to kind of work through those fears.
Like being live.
Yeah, like being live right now.
Definitely. Awesome. So obviously you kind of touched a little bit on this, but what kind of correlations do you see, or skills that you have taken from being in bartending that have helped you being in real estate? Like, can you elaborate a little bit more on, what that is?
Yeah. So a lot of it is, your people skills. You really develop that. You have to be good at communicating with people that you've just met. Kind of anticipating people's needs is another skill that I've realized I've developed is, when you go to a restaurant, the good bartenders, the servers are the ones that are bringing you everything before you even need to ask for that. So in real estate, when you're having a transaction or you have a client, kind of thinking about, okay, what are the questions they might have going forward, and just being the person that can answer that before they even need to is, really reassuring to your client. Another aspect would just be, kind of keeping your cool. It's, sometimes you have transactions and you have situations where things are outside of your control, and just really kind of focusing in on not freaking out and trying to handle things smoothly and in a way that is less stressful for your client is very important.
Yeah.
That's definitely a skill that I learned from bartending.
Being able to ease those slightly, upset clients. What if you could give any advice, if you had advice of people, who are looking to possibly, have this kind of unknown kind of career shifts at the moment, like what kind of advice would you give somebody who would like to, go into a real estate career from maybe bartending or, serving or things like that?
It takes a lot of patience. It's not going to be overnight. So I guess the biggest advice I can give is just don't give up. If I had kept pushing through when I first got licensed in 2017, I probably would have been in a really good place now already. And I would have already built my sphere and my connections. And, I would have really just built my business if I had just continued through that, those fears and that uncomfortability that I had. So really just, being patient. Also, it does take money to do this. And so you kind of have to build yourself a little bit of a nest egg to just be comfortable and be able to focus on building that business and not stressing about getting money in immediately, because it can take some time to get that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously being in, bartending and restaurants are all about building community, as well as, obviously being a real estate agent is important to build community. So for you specifically, where do you see yourself in 5 years in, impacting the Reston, Virginia community?
Well, it's a little hard to think 5 years ahead, but this is an area that I love and an area that obviously I chose to focus on because I have such a love for the community. So it just, our team is really good about doing events. Whether it's, building community in regards to, charities or donations, and just really striving to make that bigger and better every year is definitely something that I hope that we can continue to do.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me today, Skylar. Obviously, I am Jennie from the block with the CAZA Group. If you are looking if you have any real estate questions or looking to buy or sell, I'm happy to share out Skylar's information. And if any of you are interested in a career in real estate or have any questions, you know where to find me. So thank you again, Skylar, for joining me. Next week, Rob Chavez, who is the CEO of the CAZA Group, will be joining me about hyperlocal real estate. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. And yeah, all right. Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Bye.